Ready. Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, my co-host, Zach Partridge.
What up, dog?
What's cracking?
Okay, I'm going to just start with this. I don't know if I saw it in our group, but I saw in a lot of groups, people were pissing and moaning, this is like a fight night card. Shut up.
I did.
These cards, name the last card that you've been like, oh, that sucked. Dude, these fights were incredible. You had the biggest favorite of the night get upset in a world like top tier world-class jiu-jitsu get submitted from a guillotine from a blue belt or purple belt or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we had a sick title fight that both of them get dropped in. You get Julian Marquez was down 2 on his way to losing 30-27 and pulls out an anaconda choke out of his butt. And then has this great like Miley Cyrus call out Valentine's Day.
And she retweets and she tweets back to him.
That was hilarious.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Get some sick. I mean, wow.
It's these casual fans. I think I told you on Friday when we were recording, I saw some people saying this card's lame. I'm like, what? Like, we're getting a little spoiled because we have them every week. And I think we're getting a little, I mean, I'm not spoiled. I want to see them every week. I don't care who's on there.
Dude, sick fights.
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite, like top to bottom. That was probably one of the best cards we've had in a long time. I felt like,
I mean, I'm looking through the card and I don't see a fight on there that wasn't a fun fight. I mean, Gabe Green, Philip Rowe started off the night. Do we want to talk about that? We have other stuff we want to rant about before we get into the card.
We can. The only one that it just was like there was no. I don't know. I mean, the Ricky Simone and Kevin Gastelum fight just pretty much went how I thought that they were going to go. But
Ian Heinich and Kevin Gastelum.
No, the Ricky Simone, like Ricky Simone's
fight. Brian
like,
Kelleher.
We kind of knew how that was going to go, and then we kind of knew what. At least I felt pretty good about that. But anyways, great. I mean, when we lost four great fights off this card, Chris Weidman, Uriah Hall, Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera, Jillian Roberts, Miranda Maverick, and Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. We lost all those fights, and we still got this 10-fight card that was incredible.
It was a good card, man.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start on the card? Do you want to start? What do we? I texted
Cub
you
Swanson's tweet. Let's talk about Cub Swanson's tweet the other day.
Did you see it?
I did see it, and I'm probably not going to be saying it word for word, but it's had something to the effect of, if you're in MMA media, you should have had at least 3 fights before you.
3 amateur fights.
3 amateur fights if you're in MMA media. And I think this is more of a shot at the Stephen A. Smiths of the world. And I will say, I don't necessarily feel that you have to take fights, but I think you should at least do some. I think you should have trained. You should at least have gone in there, because I can tell you right now, I've been taking classes the last couple of weeks, 3 times a week, and it has changed my outlook on some things. And I'd like to think that I'm a pretty avid MMA fan. I've watched it for years. I've watched boxing for years, but there's something about being put in positions and challenging yourself that it opens your eyes to some things. And I noticed that I've started to look at fights a little bit different now than I did before I was doing this consistently.
Do you have any examples? Like what has it opened up your eyes to?
So, what really stood out to me this weekend that I really noticed was, Mina and I are always talking about like mindset, and you have to have the right mindset when you go in there and fight. And I think that main event was the perfect example of having the right mindset. In my opinion, Kamaru Usman is probably one of the most mentally strong fighters outside of Khabib that we've ever seen. And I'm not going to say Gilbert Burns is his mind is weak, but you saw the difference of when Burns had Usman hurt, he couldn't control himself. He just kept going. He's going. He's rushing things. Usman, when he had him hurt, he stuck to the plan. He didn't get outside. He didn't go outside the box. He was focused, kept his jab going.
That detail, and we're going to talk about it. That is a direct reflection, I think, of Kamaru Usman being with Trevor Whitman, though.
But he does that every fight, though. He's
systematic. But you could hear Trevor Whitman yelling it, and they said it on the commentary, but you could hear Trevor Whitman saying, "You're killing him with your patience. Keep doing." You know what I mean? Having that voice in your ear. I mean, Trevor Whitman, he's perfect, man. And he did. Hi, babe. He did the same thing to Gaethje in the Tony Ferguson fight. Yes. Remember, take 10 to 15% off every punch. Quit trying to knock him out with one punch. And like he just knows. Like he is so in tune with his fighters. He just knows. Go ahead.
I was going to say one other example, and we talked about this today after my training is you get guys that armchair quarterback that's sitting on there, hit him, and unless you're in a position where, hey, I can hit the mitts just fine, but how am I going to react when somebody's trying to hit back at me or trying to kick me? Like, am I really that focused in it when I'm doing this, or am I just kind of going through the motions type of thing? So I think putting yourself in certain positions and knowing when you see somebody getting kicked in the leg and the calf kick, if you've never experienced that, you're not going to know how bad it hurts. Shut your mouth. You don't know. Like
I'm going to go back to this example. Remember when Conor got choked out by Nate Diaz and everybody was like, "Oh, he should have known better to give his back." Like Conor sucks on the ground. Okay, until you've been cracked and rocked in a fight,
yes,
go let somebody tee off and crack you in the chin.
Yeah, and
crack yourself and get cracked, and then grapple and see how your muscle memory's gone. Like you know, like you can. He didn't lose that fight because he forgot to not give up his back. He lost because he got cracked. That was just the beginning of the end. But when I saw those criticisms, it was immediately like, dude, I've been rocked in the gym. I've been rocked in. It's like you could put yourself in those situations, and it's like it's different until you've done it, and you don't know what you don't know. And there's so many people that are like, I don't have to do it. I've been watching the sport for 20 years.
No, you
know what? There's a lot for watching the sport since the beginning and stuff. There is a lot that you know. Hey, thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, Gabe.
There is a lot that you can pick up from just viewing. And there are still things that I have not experienced, obviously. And I'm just, as a viewer, I've experienced a lot in the gym, I feel like, and I've experienced some, in the cage. And I've only had 5 amateur fights, but, I have some experience there. But you don't know what you don't know. It's like, and then there's some people that are like offended that they don't know what they're talking about. But it's like, you've never been in there. Like you've never felt an adrenaline dump in a fight. You never felt the high of the roar of like when the crowd's chanting your name. You don't know what it's like. You don't know what it's like to get cracked and go, "Oh crap, I'm hurt" in a fight or whatever. Or you don't know what it's like when you forget what round you're in because you're so tired. So what Cub said, there's just some things that people shouldn't speak on that haven't experienced it. Now, I think there are some really good media members. Like, for example, I like Ariel Helwani. I think he's very entertaining. I think he's relatively good at his job. I agree. I think he gets a little annoying with some things, but for the most part, I think he does a pretty good job. And Brent Okamoto, and these are guys that they don't have an MMA background. They didn't fight. They didn't whatever. But it's like, I think you can value the opinion, but there is sometimes where I wish they would just be like, when they're, when Ariel's doing a show with DC or Chael, and they're just like, well, I'm just going to like, let you have the opinion on this. You would know better than me. Yeah. More people need to understand that.
No, I think it's, you would look at a guy like, Max Kellerman. I don't think he's ever boxed, but he's one of the. But
he's great.
But he's one of the best boxing analysts out there. He is like as far as knowledge and commentary. But where Max does a great job
where Max does a great job is he does not criticize people for like
Yes.
in ring, like, well, he should be doing that. You know,
Yeah.
where he's an expert is the history of the sport.
Yes.
And that's where he's really good at, right? He understands the history of the sport, and he understands the science and everything, but he doesn't criticize a guy that he's like, oh, he should have gutted out that round. You know, he wasn't hurt that bad. He could have whatever, or, you know, when Stephen A criticized Cowboy Cerrone, he's never going to live that down in the MMA community.
No, hell no.
Even Cowboy coming out and saying I wasn't there that night, him coming out and criticizing Cowboy for quitting, he will never live that down. Because guess what? We've all seen the video of you hitting mitts, and you look like a bum. You shouldn't ever be. My 9-year-old hits mitts better than you do. Like,
I think he was trying to fit in a little bit with saying that, and then he got that backlash, and he's probably like, "Oh crap, maybe I don't know."
See, that's what I worry about with him is I don't think he's ever checked himself like that.
No, it's the one thing that I love about us in the way that we do our podcast. You've been in there, so I can defer to you when I don't know something, and I know not to criticize the people that have been inside there. But I'm also, you know, stepping outside of my element. I'm trying to train more, and I'm trying to get in there, and you know.
The important thing isn't just that too, but it is deferring and just being like, and just saying like, I don't know. Sometimes, you know what? More people in the media, I know it's not the sexy thing to do, but you know what would be refreshing sometimes to be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Try not to always have the answers. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm very adamant, and I'll get in debates or discussions on social media with people where I feel like I know, and then they don't because one, they've never been there or whatever, but and I won't back down to somebody that's never been in there. I won't, because they're wrong.
I mean, you could even, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, I was going to say, but there's just some things that sometimes it's okay to be like, you know what? You fought before, you know better. Or like for me, it's like, you're a pro fighter with 20 fights. I'm an amateur fighter with 5 fights. Like, you'll probably know better. Like, I'll defer.
And you could even take that into other sports as well. It's like, how are you going to criticize a football player if you've never played the game?
Like, you play Pee-wee football, Pop Warner football.
You can't sit there and criticize these guys for you think they're being lazy or what, you know, or even basketball. Like, I mean, yeah, you can have a pretty good idea. You can assume some things, but unless you've been in there, you don't know.
Facts.
But it was really interesting for me to watch that fight and just notice the difference of Kamaru's. You could just see his mindset. I mean,
laser focus.
Yeah, him having Usman hurt or Burns hurt, and just he stuck to the plan. He didn't go for the kill, and I'm sitting there yelling like, "Finish him! Like, you could finish him now." Nope, he just kept chopping.
Jason's internet went out, so his stream died. So Jason, do you want to tell the people how you watched the main event?
So Zach had to FaceTime me to watch the main event because my internet service went down right before the main event was going to start.
So I'm like, you want to FaceTime? He's like, yeah, sure. So I FaceTime him. I prop it up. And yeah, that was great.
I told Cherie, I'm like, I'll just watch it in the morning. I'm tired anyways. And I'm like, inside, I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to miss it.
It's impressive, but
yeah. So get out there and do some training. If you're gonna, yeah, I think
if you're gonna
step outside your world.
If you're gonna commentate or you're gonna criticize, just go into their world. Hey, go into a gym with them. I've said this a billion times. I've said it over and over and over. I have the most respect in the world for a guy that's fighting for the 170 belt in March for Steel Fist, Brody Fernelius. One, he's a good training partner. He's a good fighter. All that. But the best thing is he went and he watched one of our friends fight and said, I could do that. And he's the only person to walk into a gym, did a fight camp, trained, got his freaking butt whooped by a lot of guys in the gym and got better, laid out now he lays out some beatings in the gym too. And he's freaking fighting for a belt. He's the only person I've ever heard be like, I could do that, and actually went to a gym and did it.
We are creatures of habit, and to get outside of our element sometimes it's hard. I've consistently liked to lift weights, and for me to go train 3 times a week and hit mitts and not know what the hell I'm doing, it's hard. But I've been doing it now for a few weeks, so I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor a little bit. Like I'm putting combinations together a little bit, and I'm like, yeah. And then she throws in something totally different, and now I'm back to square one, but still fun. What else did we have? Did we have, we had a little, where do you put Kamara on there? Do we want to talk about this towards the end? Do we want to go through the card first? Yeah, let's go through the card first, and then we'll talk about where we have Usman. Gabe Green, Philip Rowe. I think we were opposite on this one.
Yeah, I had Rowe and you had Green.
It was I didn't necessarily.
I thought Rowe won.
I did too. I really did. I mean, I think that they gave a lot of credit to those leg kicks because, and here's me yelling, armchair quarterbacking. Like, you got him hurt. Why are you going to the ground with him? Let him back up. He can't get up. Like, he couldn't get up.
Yeah.
And those calf kicks were just
cracking.
He was chopping his leg. Great fight. Didn't necessarily agree with the decision, but I'll take it because I won money. So,
there you go.
Chris Gutierrez and Andre Ewell. This was actually a fun fight too. Gutierrez is going to be a problem. Gutierrez is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to take anything away from Andre Ewell, because he looked
really good. I mean, we had a couple guys that looked impressive in losses tonight, guys and gals, or that night, and Andre Ewell is one of them. But Chris Gutierrez, he's a different he might be a different monster, dude.
Yeah.
That 135. I mean, good luck breaking into the top 10 in that division at 135, but man, he's
Did you listen to Cody Garbrandt on Joe Rogan?
I'm listening to it now.
It's good. His is really good. I had to switch to listen to Francis during the day because I usually listen to him at night, and he has such a monotone.
Put you to sleep.
I'm just like, oh, yeah, shit. Polyana Vienna and Mallory Martin was up next. It's another one we were opposite on too, weren't we?
Yeah, but I definitely wasn't. It was I'm not putting money on it. I wasn't putting Mallory Martin in my DraftKings. I'm just a fan of hers. I'm a fan of Polyana Vienna. How can you not be? She beat up a guy that tried to mug her in Brazil. It's one of the greatest stories of all time. And his face was like one of the best memes ever because she beat the brakes off that dude.
Yeah.
And Mallory Martin, I thought she was one that was like, I know she lost, and she lost kind of quick because she lost in the first round and she got submitted. But man, dude, she was in that triangle choke forever. I could not believe how tough she was through it. I mean, she was tough. Sometimes you get, when you're on the ground like that with a Brazilian black belt, people say, well, how do you get out of that position? The best defense to get out is never to get in that spot in the first place because you're probably not getting out until the end of the round. It's survival at that point. And she survived for a dang long time, but Vienna, she finally switched to the armbar from the triangle, and Mallory tried, but and I don't blame her. It's not worth breaking your arm.
Yeah.
She has a bright future in this sport. I mean, she is a girl that I think if she just put a couple things together, I mean, you could see her go on a 3-4 fight win streak that. It's not worth getting your arm broke.
Fun. Bilal Muhammad, Diego Lima.
I'm not mad at our pick.
No, I'm not mad at all. I mean, I thought Muhammad was going to win, but we both thought, I mean, as a value, Muhammad didn't look like a 4-1 favorite to me.
I mean, he's impressive. He's impressive. I know he wants to move into the elite of the welterweights. He was 15. He'll move up a couple spots. But do you really see that guy beating a Vicente Luque or some of those just killers up there? I don't.
I don't.
Great Twitter. Great Twitter guy.
He's great on Twitter. I love him on Twitter. Yeah, he's a lot of fun on Twitter.
I like him a lot. I just watch him, and he has a great pace. He's well-rounded, mixes in his wrestling nice, and he just does a lot of things just really good. But I just don't see anything that jumps out to be like, that guy's a future world champion. I know he thinks he does, which is great, and it's the type of self-belief you have to be. I mean, he's 18-3, and his only losses are to super tough guys. But I think you're going to see him turn into more of like a gatekeeper, and he'll kind of always be in the team there. I don't think he'll ever really break into the top. I don't think he'll even get close to the top 5. Well,
he's only 32 years old too.
Yeah.
But I think you need to give him a top 10 guy. I mean, he's on a 4-fight streak. Yeah. Like you got to give him somebody. But Lima was here. I am armchair quarterback. It's like, dude, pull the trigger. Like, dude, like it seemed like he had so many opportunities, and he was chopping that leg too.
Good leg kicks. When you're Lima, you gotta have a lot of confidence when you're Lima going into these fights, because you're training every day with arguably the best 170er on the planet, your brother, Douglas Lima, right? I mean, to me, that is the guy that I want to see fight Kamaru Usman more than anybody, and we're probably never going to see it. But
do you think he beats Usman?
That's hard to say, but that's probably the one guy where I'm not super confident on an Usman bet.
Yeah,
because Lima's a monster.
Lima is a monster. That fight with
Gegard Mousasi at 185. That was
a great fight.
Usman's a monster, but at the same time, I think Usman beats Gegard Mousasi at 185 too, and Lima did. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I guess I'm leaning towards Usman more in that, but no, Lima's a problem, and he carries a lot more power and explosive striking than his brother Diego does.
Way more, yeah.
But I like Diego. I'm a fan. I'm a fan from The Ultimate Fighter. So,
how about the upset of the night? Fluffy Anthony Hernandez. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I saw some guy on Twitter pick this, and it's like, come on, dude, you were just reaching. You did not think he was gonna just pull this one out, but he did.
He did. There's something to be said for that guy. Like, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
and I think that's like, I think he knew he was good at jiu-jitsu, but I don't think he realized like. I don't know if he totally knew who Vieira was. I think he probably just knew that he was a really good jiu-jitsu guy, but I don't think he understood he was like world class, like the black belt hunter. Like, come on, get out of here.
Did you watch Darren Till?
The fact that he submitted him.
It was bad. You didn't watch the Darren Till, Mike Perry
I have not
Instagram
yet.
thing?
I have not yet.
They talked about this a little bit, and they talked about how when he got in there, Vieira, he spent all his energy on that first takedown and trying to get it. And he was gassed. He literally gassed himself out.
He's ginormous. He looks like Paulo Costa, right? I mean, he's ginormous and he's probably walking around north of 210. Trying to 185. He should probably just fight at 205.
Yeah, I mean, carrying that much muscle.
You can't cut that kind of weight. You can't cut that kind of weight and expect to have a high gas tank with all that muscle.
Yeah. He did come. He was the one. Didn't he have the layoff too, though, or was that Marquez?
Marquez.
I think Marquez had the layoff. That's right. No, good for Hernandez though, man. That was. Then he tells his corner, does he get an extra stripe on his belt if he submits him? That was awesome.
Yeah, he does.
That was awesome.
Yeah, he does. And I mean,
George is calling you out.
Oh gosh, George. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not coming tonight now, George. I don't know. He scared me. Freak me out. You Marines are terrifying. No, there's so much that goes into this, but at the end of the day, this is what I love about the sport is this dude that was 7-2 is like, I'll take the fight that nobody wants. Because Dana even said it. Nobody would fight Rivera. Give me a fight. Give me a fight. Give me a fight. How about Rodolfo Rivera? Give me another fight. Anybody else? Yeah. Nobody wants to fight somebody that's a specialist, that's that elite. It's kind of like Ryan Hall a little bit, right? People don't really like fighting these elite specialists because it's just, but Anthony Hernandez is he's just game. And you know what? I'm a fan of his now. You better believe next time I see him on a card, like I'm going to be pretty high on him because there's just something about a guy that's like, I'll fight the guy that nobody else wants to fight.
Yeah.
And then he beats him. And then he beats him in his own game by submitting him.
That was
bad. That's a bad
impressive.
dude right there.
That's a bad dude. Like you said, ignorance is bliss, man. He probably just wasn't even.
He's probably just like, F it. I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah.
He's like, I'm a bad dude. I'll fight anybody.
I mean,
and guess what? Those are the guys that Dana White does favors for too. He's going to get a push.
I mean,
he's going to get a nice push.
Those guys that are that high level of jujitsu, it doesn't necessarily always translate over into the MMA world.
Vieira's does though, because once he gets them down, and those guys. Here's the other thing though. Those guys,
but at the higher level though, I'm talking like once you start cracking into that top 5, it's like
no, but
it's like,
but Vieira,
it's like he's not.
I'll bet you he can step onto a mat and roll with fresh guys for hours.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
But guess what? Again, everything changes when you get punched in the face and you get rocked. And he has no head movement. And when Hernandez started teeing off and he ate those shots, I'll give it to him. I could not believe that one of those shots didn't put him out.
He could take a shot.
Heavy shots.
Yeah, he could take some punch. He could take a punch. Yeah, anyways, props to Fluffy, man. Julian Marquez and Maki Pitolo, which
go back to the tapes. I picked Maki.
You did pick Maki, and I wish we could post our conversation during this fight.
No, you can't. You can't. You can't post it. You can't.
We can't post it, but it's good. The short version is I'm texting Zach like, I don't know why I bet on Marquez. This is stupid.
And I'm like, I picked Pitolo.
And then you're like, I picked Pitolo. Blah, blah, blah.
To Marquez, and we put him in my DraftKings lineup and everything. And I'm like, dang it, Jason, I picked Pitolo. And I got it on my notes right here. I'm looking at my notes to make sure. I picked Pitolo, underdog, plus 145. And he is up on his way to win 30-27.
Oh, he was.
The whole thing, and then freaking gets anaconda choked with like less than a minute left in the fight. Great fight. Super.
It was a great fight. And I love the hey, Miley Cyrus tweet, like we talked about, was freaking amazing.
So good.
Freaking amazing. And her to tweet back at it.
Yeah, and she says, shave an MC into your chest hair, and you got it.
I wonder if he does. I'm going to have to watch Twitter today and see if he did it. Hey, I mean,
What a character, too. That guy, dude, I'm telling you, if this guy if he can rip off a couple wins, he's going to create a really fun following, because he was great on the mic. He's as good on the mic as anybody after a fight. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
So entertaining.
What was I going to look at? What is he? Yeah, he's a big dude too. Mm-hmm. He's a big dude.
Big boy.
This fight, I think we knew it was going to happen. Ricky Simone and Brian Keller. Ricky Simone's a beast, man.
We know Ricky Simone's a beast. And, our boy Scott Devlin always thinks that I just crap on him just because I don't like the Diaz brothers necessarily. And he always loves Ricky Simone, but I'll give Ricky Simone all the credit in the world. That he's a monster at 130.
He is, yeah.
He's a tank, dude. He's a tank.
He was 2 steps ahead of Brian Keller that whole fight. Keller can do nothing.
And Keller, he has some great submissions.
Keller's amazing.
And he went for that guillotine twice. Simone popped his head right out. No problem.
No problem at all.
The only hiccup I've ever seen with Simone was when he got cracked by Uriah and he got knocked out. And I'm telling you, if they fight 10 times, Ricky Simone beats him 8 or 9 out of those 10.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Yeah. Props to him, man. He's moving up quickly. Who does he fight next?
He's got to get a top. He's got to get a guy with a number now, right?
Yeah, 18. Give it to him. Got to. I was totally wrong on this one. I wouldn't say I was wrong. It's just I'm not very high on Kelvin Gastelum, but hey, he proved me wrong.
Right.
I was right. You're spot on. Ian Heinich. I mean, he's tough. He's gritty, but Kevin Gastelum is just on a different level.
Man, could we get DC to quit loving on Ian Heinich's wrestling for a sec? And he kept talking about how great of a wrestler he was. Kelvin mauled him.
Yeah,
on the ground, mauled him. Picked him up with slammed him. Just because you're a state championship high school wrestler and just because you did whatever, that doesn't mean anything in that cage. You mix punches in with that. Sorry. I don't care. The Kelvin, I'm going, and I've always said this, but Bubba McDaniels, right? We've had him on the show. We talk about him. If you're not friends with him on Facebook, try it because it's a trip and it's a ride. Like
he's the best, man.
He's a character.
Love that guy.
We got to get him back on the show. But and I love Bubba. Bubba was on that season of The Ultimate Fighter with Kelvin, and he goes, there was not a person in that thing that thought he had even a remote chance of winning a fight on that show, let alone winning the whole show. He beats Uriah Hall after Uriah was the scariest dude ever in tough history, right? Yeah. I mean, we thought he killed that one guy in the first fight that Uriah did, and then he dropped Bubba with a jab to the eye, and like Uriah was terrifying. Kelvin just beats him in the finale. Kelvin just goes on. By the way, and I know he's on a 3-fight losing streak. Toughest fight he's had in the UFC, Kelvin Gastelum. Like, people just keep underestimating him. And he has the one fair knock is he has a discipline issue. No and ifs or buts about it, because he should be fighting at welterweight. And I told you this, and I texted you this before. He gives Usman a lot of problems if he could get his butt down to welterweight.
If he could get his butt down to welterweight.
And he can. You look at his body. Look at his body. No, I don't think he will. Because look how close he was to the top at 185.
Yeah.
Probably the worst thing that ever happened to him was him getting that close at 185 to beating a guy that nobody else has even gotten close to. And Kelvin, I mean, that 5th round was for all the marbles.
Yeah.
We never got to see Kelvin versus Robert Whittaker. Did we?
I don't think so. No, we didn't see it.
Right?
No.
So we don't know, but this is what I do know. Kelvin might have the biggest back of any human being I've ever seen that's not a heavyweight.
Jacked. He's huge.
It's this wide, right?
Yeah.
It's twice the size of mine. He's got this giant back. He has good boxing, really good boxing. He's mixed in some kicks, decent. And for MMA, his pressure and his wrestling, I know, by the way, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and 10th Planet. But his wrestling is, we've never seen him out wrestled.
Nope.
He's a problem. But he has a discipline issue.
If he can keep his mind right, he's definitely a problem.
I'm a Kelvin believer, and the reason why I felt so confident with him going into that fight was just like what Bubba said. People keep counting this guy out and he keeps shocking people. And I think people had counted him out. And
I did.
I mean, he lost to Izzy. That's fine. When he lost to Jack Hermanson, he got caught in a heel hook. Happens. Yeah.
Split decision with Till.
And then the split decision with Till. And I thought Till beat him, but Till presents pretty similar problems to Izzy to him. Bigger, longer, elite striker.
Yeah.
And can nade a lot of his boxing with his kicks and his range. But again, man, you put him in that welterweight mix. If he could healthily get down there and make weight at welterweight and you put him in that mix, he is right there. I mean, tell me you wouldn't want to see a Kelvin Burns fight. Very similar, just not elite jiu-jitsu, but very similar like that. But he's big and strong.
Yeah.
I love Kelvin. I'm a big fan of his, and I'm going to ride his train. I'm always going to be a fan of his.
Well, maybe I might need one more fight. I might need one more fight to convince me, but I was dead wrong on that one, and I was wrong.
Who do you like for him?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, looking at the rankings after coming off a 3-fight loss, middleweight, maybe give him Derek Brunson.
That would be fun.
I mean, maybe you're right.
You give him the rematch with Uriah Hall. Do you give Uriah Hall that rematch? That's probably a pretty good fight.
Yeah, I could see that. Either one of those two. I don't know if he cracks up into that top 5 yet. Jared Cannonier, maybe.
That's a good fight for him.
I mean, that's a step up. But I think he's even with those 3 losses, I think he's earned that he can hang with those guys.
He'll move probably up to 8-7 range.
Yeah. Cannonier would actually be a good one, I think.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that fight.
me too.
But yeah, the next fight, I was wrong, but I cautioned it. I was hesitant. I actually put Grasso in my DraftKings lineup, and she's the reason I won.
Yeah, and you didn't tell me. Thanks, jerk.
It was last minute because I almost didn't get it in again.
It's a bad friend.
Bad friend.
Yeah, bad co-host, bad friend.
Bad, Jason. Yeah, I don't want to necessarily say we were wrong. I just thought I thought Barber's pressure was going to be a little more. I didn't realize Grasso was going to be as strong as she was. We both thought Grasso was better on the feet, which she was in the first 2 rounds. Barber's still super young. People forget
she's 22.
How young she is. She's 22 years old.
22.
I think that shows a little bit in there. The impatience, she doesn't know how to control that rage yet, know?
Yeah.
And Grasso's 27. That 5 years difference, I think that's a huge thing. He's got that boxing background, slick hands, which we knew. Like I said, I didn't realize she was going to be as strong up against the fence as she was. She surprised me there.
So I'm just going to give you a little take on this.
Okay.
I think if they run it back and fight again in like a month, I think Barber beats her 30-27.
So I missed the 3rd round. I haven't rewatched it. I missed that 3rd round.
You should rewatch that 3rd round because then I think you'll know what I'm talking about.
Because you were texting me saying Barber was turning it on in that 3rd round.
Something clicked for Barber. I don't know if it was her timing or what, but something clicked for her, and Grasso did not have an answer for her in the 3rd round. And Barber put it on her. Not like it wasn't a 10-8 round by any means because Alexa was still doing her thing too a little bit, but you could tell that the first 2 rounds, it seemed like Macy didn't really have an answer for what Grasso was doing. But it became very clear that some adjustment got made in that corner or maybe in just Barber's overall aggressiveness or timing or whatever. Ring rust after not being out after that AC. I don't know what it was or if it was just the urgency of knowing you had to have a finish because you're down 2 rounds to 0. But she went buck wild and just went all out, and Alexa had no answer for it, and she kind of got mauled, which is what I kind of thought might happen for the whole fight until a finish came. I like Alexa Grasso, and that was very, very impressive performance between 2 girls. They were ranked 10 and 15. Those are probably 2 borderline, like more closer like 5 and 6 once they actually get the chance to fight the girls above her.
Yeah, Macy's, for her to get, she deserves every bit of this push. I saw a little bit of, I saw some people given some slack that they pushed her a little too hard with that Roxanne Modafferi fight. But dude, she won her first 3 fights in the UFC by knockout, by punches. She stopped Hannah Cypher. She stopped JJ Aldrich. She stopped Jillian Robertson. Dude, she's ready. She's just got to learn. She's just got to learn more. She switched camps. She did switch camps. So she's training with a different camp now.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think this hurts her at all. No. I like her confidence. She's still confident. And I like Alexa Grasso too. Alexa Grasso.
Yeah.
She's on a 2-fight win streak right now too.
Yeah. And she has a bright future as well.
That was a fun, people are dogging it because that was the main event, but that was fun.
It was a good fight.
Kamaru Usman Gilbert Burns, the main event.
So, do I want to go there? Yeah, I'll go there.
Go there. Do it, Zach.
There's a certain individual on my guy Mason Moy's post that was criticizing him when he was saying that Usman was on track to being an all-time great, and said we throw it around too much, we throw around GOAT too much, and he's being critical and this and that. I don't really see. So here's the thing. Usman sucks on the mic. He's horrible. His like persona or whatever, it just isn't very likable.
It seemed a little different after this fight, though.
A little bit, but the other thing that's nice before, I don't know if you remember, and I'll bet you Kamara remembers. Dana kind of crapped on him as he was coming up.
Yeah.
Very similar to Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
Kind of crapped on him. Didn't like him very much. And now Dana's like, nope, I love him. Like, he's the man. He's well dressed. He's well spoke. He's a great dad. He's a good person. He's a great fighter. Him and the Colby fight is the best fight I've ever seen, or one of the best fights I've ever seen. Blah, 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 blah. And he's just riding him. It's amazing to me how much power and weight Dana carries, because all those things that he's saying are true, but all those things didn't change in the last couple of fights. He's always been that guy. It's just he's not the greatest crap talker. But at the end of the day, I don't care. You know what we need to get over as fans? You know what separates casuals and like real fans to me? Are educated ones that can appreciate greatness in the moment. I made a promise to myself. I will never discredit greatness and not appreciate it in the moment again like I did after Khabib.
Because you did say that after that. Yeah.
Because I didn't really care for Khabib that much, because the Tony thing drove me crazy. The rivalry with Conor, which was more Conor than Khabib, but the brawl after was that was not a good look.
Yeah,
the Dolly bus throw wasn't a good look, but that wasn't a good look either. The brawl after,
yeah,
right. But all that being said, but now that he's gone, it's like, oh my gosh, I just spent every time watching that guy hoping he would lose and not appreciating how great he was. Yeah. I mean, acknowledging his greatness, but not really appreciating it, right?
Yeah.
I'm done doing that, and I will never do that again. Kamaru Usman's great, and he is on a path. And Dana said it, and it might not be too far-fetched. He is, let me see.
Usman, you know what's, he's got 13 wins in the UFC in a row. 13.
Yeah, no, he's never lost. He's never lost in the UFC.
No, he hasn't lost since 2013.
He's 33 years old. What? Let me see. What?
And
what do you think he could do? Like, what? He just passed GSP's winning streak at welterweight.
Yes.
He's, he just passed Tyron Woodley in title defenses. He's whatever. GSP's only lost twice. He lost to Matt Serra, which was a bad loss. He got upset. Can happen to anybody. And he lost to Matt Hughes, right? Those were his only two losses.
Should have lost to Hendricks.
Should have lost to Hendricks. I absolutely agree. That was actually the first UFC pay-per-view I ever watched, was that. Back in 2013. Wow, I've been watching the UFC for 8 years now. Wow.
So,
anyways, but all that being said, and I'm looking at his body of work, and hi, babe. My wife just came and stopped by.
Hi, Hillary.
Dropped off my stuff because I'm gonna go train after this.
Yeah,
but you want to come say hi? She don't want to come say hi.
Oh, dang it.
But there's something about Kamaru Usman, and I look at it because GSP, the other thing too, right? He holds wins over Nick Diaz, Carlos Conduit, Jake Shields, Josh Koscheck, Dan Hardy, Diego Alves, BJ Penn, John Fitch, Matt Serra, Matt Hughes, Josh Koscheck again, Matt Hughes again, BJ Penn again, Sean Shirk, Frank Trigg. I mean, his resume is almost as good as John Jones when you're talking about beating the who's of that division.
Yeah.
And he's beat everybody. Love you. Let me kiss. Bye. He's
what's up, Anthony?
He what's up, Tony? So GSP has that type of resume. When we look back in 5 years and we say Kamaru Usman beat Gilbert Burns, beat Jorge Masvidal, beat Colby Covington in an all-time classic, dismantled Tyron Woodley, destroyed Rafael dos Anjos, beat Damian Maia, and then beat Leon Edwards. Already beat Leon Edwards. Won The Ultimate Fighter. Won a season of The Ultimate Fighter, which is ridiculous because you're in this unrealistic house where you're training with killers and you're fighting, on these super short layoffs. Like, and so he's probably going to beat what's it look like? Probably beats Jorge Masvidal again. That fight sounds like that fight's going to happen.
He finishes Jorge next time, in my opinion.
Probably fights Colby Covington again, right?
Finishes Colby too again, I think.
Finishes Colby. Who else? Probably I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him fight Burns again. I think you see him with a Wonder Boy, right? I think you see a Wonder Boy fight happen at some point.
Yeah, Austin, ditto.
Yeah, he's gonna have a resume that's it might get to the point where never had a loss in the UFC. It might get to the point where it's pretty undeniable that he's the greatest welterweight of all time if he can do this for another 3 years.
He's right up there in my opinion. I think there's a lot of similarities too in those two fighters because GSP, I mean, granted, I was watching him early on in my MMA watching career, but he was kind of boring to me too. He did what he needed to do to win the fights. He controlled it. Usman's kind of the same way. The big difference to me is Usman's never really been hurt. This Burns fight was really the first time he's kind of been pushed a little bit, but he didn't even really get out of his element at all. I mean, would you say, it's so hard to compare because it's like comparing Jordan to LeBron. Like they're two different eras. Like
sure.
Competition level, you could probably say the guys are bigger now. They're a little more well-rounded than they were back then. I don't know. You could throw it, but you could go both different. You could go a million different ways with this, but you cannot deny he's got 13 wins in the UFC, dominant wins in a row. Whether you like how he did it or not, he did it. Nobody else is doing it. I mean, there's a few slack guys, but
here's the other thing: the narrative of he's boring, and he kind of was for a while.
He wasn't boring in that Burns fight,
but
he wasn't boring in the Colby Covington fight.
So he's had 4 title fights now, right?
Yeah.
Dismantled and destroyed Tyron Woodley for 5 rounds, the reigning champ. Who, remember, we were having these conversations about Tyron Woodley almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
About him being on the path of being one of the greatest welterweights of all time. And it's kind of turned into a joke. You could almost blame Kamaru Usman for destroying that man's confidence. Very similar to how I kind of feel about Tony Ferguson, that Tony was a monster until Gaethje broke the toy and he don't work no more. Right? Yeah. Colby Covington knocked him out in one of the greatest fights I've ever seen.
That was amazing.
But stopped him, right? Jorge Masvidal, okay. Jorge took it on short notice. So did Usman.
So did Usman. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So did Usman.
And Usman broke his nose 2 weeks before that fight. Didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, it wasn't Masvidal breaking his nose, everybody, just so you're knowing. His nose was broken going into the fight.
Yeah, he broke his nose 2 weeks before the fight. Yeah. And then stop Gilbert Burns. If Usman can do what Khabib did and start stopping people, because that's the other thing. Khabib was like, people are boring. But boring. But if he starts stopping people regularly in these title fights, kind of like Khabib, stop Conor, stop Poirier, stop Gaethje, then it's just like, dude, that's the other thing. It's like.
Just turn off the sound when you're watching him fight and just appreciate what you're watching, because it takes a lot of mental discipline. Now that this is what I'm learning in my training, to go in there and do what he's doing and to be as focused and as disciplined as he is, man, that's hard to replicate, which it doesn't happen very often. But if we do see, I texted you the other day, you see a trend with it. The wrestlers have that mindset. They're just a different breed.
Yeah, and you have to say this, right? Mental toughness. These mentally tough guys.
Tough.
John Jones has dug deep in fights, pulled out wins. Wrestling.
Yeah, mentally tough.
Henry Cejudo. I hate Henry Cejudo. I can't stand it. I think he should shut up and stay retired. But that fight against Marlon Moraes, that guy looked like he wasn't going to be able to walk. And he comes back and puts it on Marlon. I honestly broke Marlon, right?
Yeah.
Broke him.
He hasn't been the same since.
Marlon hasn't been the same since,
yep.
right? When you break somebody's confidence like that, when you break other human beings and you take something from them, you change them. When they're beating you and they're saying, I should be beating this man, how is he still coming at me?
Yeah.
It does something to somebody, man. But you look at these guys, Usman, Khabib, right? Khabib can take shots. He said Gaethje was the hardest he's ever been hit.
Oh, yeah, he did say, yep.
But guess what? He didn't hesitate for a second to walk Gaethje down. And Gaethje was like, what else do you do? I don't know what to do. So he starts getting on his horse and starts moving side to side because he can't get any respect from Khabib.
It's,
I think you look at these.
DC
was this way. DC, all wrestlers.
Here's the difference. Wrestlers are more, how am I trying to word this? I think out of all the disciplines, wrestlers are typically in a more uncomfortable positions longer. Like they're training, they're stepping outside of their elements when they're in their training. And I'm not saying the other disciplines aren't, but I think the wrestlers are they're a little harder. Like they're a little harder with their training.
Yes.
They're not comfortable. And this isn't saying jiu-jitsu guys aren't or kickboxers aren't. Wrestlers are just,
no, it's different because
they're different, man.
And it's the, Ryan, if he's still watching, I'm sure he could comment on this with Cole. It's the years of competing at wrestling meets, and it's the weight cutting, and it's the sacrifice, the constant sacrifice.
Yes.
It's the going without, it's the doing, or performing on, what, I mean, the grind. It's the grind. It's the constant, just, it's a different element. And, jiu-jitsu is a great base and it's a great art, but guess what shuts down great jiu-jitsu? Wrestling.
Great wrestling.
Kickboxing and boxing, wrestling shuts that down, somebody has to be master of it. I mean, but I'm just saying, look at Izzy and Stephen Thompson and stuff, they do really well with wrestlers because they've mastered the distance control or whatever.
Yep. But
you have to be absolutely perfect and elite to try and negate that wrestling. If you're not, you're dead. You're dead.
Who was it that was saying, what did we, Eddie Alvarez was the one that was saying, Burns is elite level jiu-jitsu, but Usman's elite wrestling just kind of cancels out because he knows the positions that he needs to stay out. He's aware of, hey, if this guy's here, I know what I need to do. He's already got that base. He's familiar with these positions. I
hope that people start appreciating Usman now in the middle of his run and not when he's gone.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of him on the mic.
I'm still cheering for Jorge Masvidal when they fight. I'm still cheering for other people. Like, it doesn't mean like he's my favorite fighter of all time, but
it's does Tony, does he wrestle? Tony's wrestle till he squeals.
Man, yeah. Tony's a karate guy. Tony's a karate guy. Yeah. He's good jiu-jitsu though too.
But you got to appreciate, man, what we're watching. I mean,
we're witnessing greatness.
We are witnessing. Yeah.
And that's okay. And the only person, the only fight I want to see now with those two where I'm like, ooh, I don't know, is Khabib and Usman. After what you just watched, I've heard it time and time again. Usman or Khabib would go up and beat any 170er in the UFC. DC swears by it. From what I just watched, I'm not sold that Khabib beats Usman.
The difference I think in this would be, can he handle the strength of Usman? Like, how much bigger is Usman really than? Because I haven't seen him. I know they're both big guys, but and he cracks his jab.
It's not just that. He has this beautiful jab that when he hits people, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the gym and hit the heavy bag. I think I'm just going to jab the heavy bag for an hour.
And you noticed when Burns, he switched to southpaw and finished him with the the jab with his power hand when he finished him.
I know.
I mean,
look at Tapology. He beats Gilbert Burns, win, power jab to ground and pound. Power jab.
Is his jab the equivalent to a calf kick? you take two of Usman's jabs, it's like a calf kick. You're done, dude. You're done.
Dude, Colby, he did that against Colby too, and you can see Colby's face, dude.
That was Colby pity pat. He's pity patting him.
He kills with volume, right? It's the Nate Diaz thing.
I'm interested to see Usman and Wonder Boy. That's an interesting fight.
That's the only fight for me that's interesting, because I don't think Wonder Boy is ever in front of him to just sit there and get picked apart with that jab.
I don't think he eats that jab like Colby did or Gilbert Burns did. He's not going to eat that jab, but
look, like Jorge didn't eat that jab.
Because Jorge's got good boxing.
Really good boxing.
Jorge couldn't stop that.
That's the other thing. Usman calling out Jorge, I think it's kind of weak. I'm not going to lie.
I think it's really weak.
I know it's. You already beat him and you already dominated him for 5 rounds, and he says, "I'm going to finish you this time." I don't know if he does finish Jorge, because Jorge's boxing is good enough that he has to, and kicks are good enough that he has to respect it, and he can't just walk him down and just destroy him with that jab, because Jorge will crack him. And but I mean, I'm not saying Usman would lose. I'm just saying it's a different fight. I think the way Usman beat him is how he beats him again. He grinds out a win.
He's just going to grind it out, yeah.
But the Wonder Boy fight's different. It's interesting. Usman's great, but I think Wonder Boy's great, and he is a different problem to solve, because he's so active on his feet and he throws kicks from weird angles, and he can throw them with dexterity in both legs, and it doesn't matter. And you know what's going on.
Did they announce, or they haven't finalized? They're trying to get Edwards and Colby, right?
That's what they're looking at.
Why isn't it Edwards and Jorge?
You want to know so Edwards keeps saying it's because Jorge doesn't want the fight because he's scared and this and that and blah, blah, blah. You know it's why? Because Jorge has ascended to the level of superstardom, and it's kind of a boring fight for him. Sorry. Sorry, Leon.
Tony says Masvidal was handling on the feet prior to getting grinded out. Maybe Usman is viewing Masvidal as the money fight. I mean, that is a big money fight, because
100%, Tony. That's why Usman wants that fight. It's kind of weak, but that's why he wants it. It's the biggest payday. It's the biggest payday.
If he stays with Trevor Whitman, I think he finishes Masvidal if they fight again, but that's just my opinion.
Wow. Former NFL wide receiver Vincent Jackson found dead in his Florida hotel room.
Oh, whoa.
Police are investigating the death. Weird. Edwards versus Covington would be nice to see.
I do want to see that. I do want to
see it. I think we are going to see it in March, that March 13th card. Covington's always training. He's ready, and I think that's a good fight. It's kind of weird, though, because those are like the two up there that don't have animosity towards each other, but the rest all do, which is kind of –
the winner has to get the title fight, right?
Has to. And by the way, I think we are going to see it, because Masvidal wants to fight Usman again. It's obviously who won it. It's the title fight. And Usman now wants to fight Masvidal. And so now I don't think we're going to see Colby versus Jorge as tough coaches this summer. I think we're going to see Usman versus Masvidal as the tough coaches this summer. And then they're going to fight late summer, early fall. And then,
good.
And then
I'll say it right now. I don't care who Usman fights. I just want him to fight again this year. Like,
stay a little bit
this year,
because he's not.
Even if it's only 2 fights this year, like, dude,
that is a fair knock on him. He just doesn't stay super active, but
maybe that's what's going to keep him around longer. I don't know, but I've grown to appreciate Usman a lot more these last couple fights than I did early on. But I think you could see.
I'll be 30.
Now Zach has to go to the bathroom break. I mean, it's you first this time, Zach. I think there's a lot of similarities in the way Usman and GSP fight. I think their styles are a little bit different. I always thought GSP was. I mean, he's a little more well-rounded on the feet than Usman is, but I think that they're a little similar styles, man. They're both grinders. They both don't put themselves in bad positions. They look to win the fight. So I'm excited. Usman, Covington, Usman, Masvidal. You can spin this any way you want. Let's just get Usman in there again. Is everybody pumped up for the fights February 27th? And then 2 weeks later, we got steel fist fights after that. Man.
I got one more thing I want to talk about. Then we got to go because I have to go train.
All right.
Did you watch the Nate Diaz interview with Ariel Helwani?
I did not watch that yet.
You should watch it.
I'm going to watch it when we get off.
It was really interesting. And Nate talked about a few things. But he talked about something about Conor. Sorry, we're going to end on Conor. It was really interesting that I hope Conor was listening. And Nate said, everybody knows that Conor punches himself out. Okay, so look, you're going, whatever. How did Nate beat him in the first fight?
Yeah, but that was short.
No. He let Conor punch himself out, right? He tries to get excited. He gets excited and he punches himself out.
Yeah.
And then Nate said it. He goes, everybody's talking about how good Conor did against Floyd Mayweather. Nope. And we've talked about that over and over. Yeah. We don't need to talk about it again. But he said, no, Floyd let him punch himself out. And then he got tired and then he standing TKO'd him. Right?
Exactly what happened.
He goes, Dustin Poirier just did the same thing.
I don't know.
Besides the Khabib loss, all of his losses is because he people that can weather his storm let him punch himself out, and then when he starts to slow down a little bit, they ramp it up, and he's gone.
Yes and no on the Poirier thing. I think Poirier, you can. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it, but I think that was due to more him having the layoff than anything, because Poirier just had his timing down, and he really didn't.
Agree, but Conor hit him a couple times. Conor hit him with his left a couple times. You know, he hit him. But if you can weather the Conor storm through the first round and a half or whatever, and then you start turning it up on him, he does not like that. He's gonna have to fix that. Nate said it, and I hate giving Nate Diaz credit, but I think he's right on this. He wrote the playbook on how to beat Conor.
I'm really curious to see how a motivated Conor comes back after this loss against Poirier, even though you and I both think Poirier beats him again. I think it speaks volume for him to want that fight again, though. It speaks volumes to me that he's in it mentally, that he wants to keep doing that after.
But Poirier, I don't think Poirier is a lock to win. I think Conor can make the adjustments, can win. I think Poirier is the favorite, and I would heavily lean towards Poirier winning that fight, but I don't think he's locked to win that fight because Conor can make adjustments. I think you could see it. Conor's going to have to make adjustments, but I hate to give credit to Nate Diaz, but I actually think he's right. I think Nate Diaz did actually kind of get the playbook on how to beat Conor.
I could see it. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
I hate giving Nate Diaz credit. No, but it was interesting. And the other thing that was really kind of funny too is Nate said he wants to fight 3 or 4 times this year, and that he wanted to fight last year and stay active after the Jorge Masvidal fight, but then COVID happened and whatever. And it's like this is again, we've talked about Nate Diaz ad nauseum and the Diaz brothers, and it's what frustrates me to no end. But if you just come and fight, if he would come and fight 3 or 4 times in a year, he could go. If he fought 4 times and went win in 3, he's still the 3rd biggest draw in the UFC behind Conor and Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, because he's never had a boring fight. Never.
No, That just goes to show man. It goes back to that mental aspect of it, because you don't see Usman wearing himself out. You don't see Khabib wearing himself out. Those guys are very calculated,
that's what's so surprising to me is Conor's very calculated. He's usually very calculated, and that's actually the thing that I think why he can make the adjustments. And I think John Kavanaugh's a genius too. I think he's a great coach as well, and I think that's why I think Conor has a chance out, obviously. Like, Poirier is not a lock of the century by any means to beat Conor again. I think it's going to be a great trilogy fight, but I think that there's a very good chance that Conor's on the wrong end of that trilogy fight.
Yeah.
But dude, if Conor has always just been a fast starter, and if you watch, people can't outride that first wave, but the people that can have a lot of success.
Yeah.
And Khabib's obviously different than anything else, but you look at the Nate Diaz loss and now you look at the Poirier loss. That's exactly what happened. And everybody else, he cracks and hurts early, and they can't handle that tidal wave that comes for the first 5 minutes of those fights.
Yeah.
Because Conor, he's a tidal wave to deal with those first 5 minutes. But if you weather that storm, things turn pretty quick.
You know what I'm looking at? How badass is it that we had women co-main eventing last Saturday, and then we have women co-main eventing this Saturday too?
Turn into women's equal rights. Would you stop? No, I'm just kidding.
It's showing the evolution of women's MMA, like to be able to put, the talent levels there, man. These girls are savages.
Oh, these girls are monsters. And
Caitlin Beer and Yana Knitsia, I don't even want to try to pronounce her name. Knutskaya.
No, Kitsakaya.
Kitsakaya, is that how you say it?
Yeah. I watched her fight. I've seen her fight for Cyborg in person. UFC 259 is an incredible card.
Oh, man. Hey.
Kyler Phillips, Song Yadong. Kai Kara France is back. Tim Elliott's back. Jake Matthews versus Sean Brady. Oh, my gosh. Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kenny. Joey B versus Askar. You have 3 title fights: Peter Yan, Aljamain, Megan Anderson, Amanda Nunez, and Jan Blachowicz versus Izzy. You have Thiago Santos is back versus Alexander Rakic. I don't even know when that fight was announced. I missed it. And oh my gosh, that's going to be fireworks. And Drew Dover and Makovic. I mean,
that main card, everybody fighting on that main card could be highlight any fight night.
Oh,
I mean, you could almost.
Hey, are we still on that Megan Anderson is a live dog? You're on that train with me still, right?
I'm still on it. I'm still on it. And I'm not trying to hate on Nunez because I know she's a savage. But I like Megan Anderson in this spot.
And she's going to be a huge favorite.
Look, we all know Nunez is a savage, but she's had some changes this last year. She's a mom now. How is she going? I'd like to hear some interviews with her to kind of get a take on how she's see where her mind's at. Like, how is she training? How's she training with, you add those elements in there and you add a hungry up and coming fighter. That's hungry. And I love her. I love her Twitter and her TikTok too.
Yeah. Megan Anderson, she's fun. I just think that she's
big.
Let's put it this way. She's a legit featherweight. And if Amanda Nunez isn't on top of her A game, Megan Anderson has the tools to beat her.
100%.
But if Amanda Nunez is on top of her A game, she's going to destroy her like she destroys everybody.
Yes.
She's the female GOAT for a reason.
I 100% agree.
And I hate saying that because I like Valentina Shevchenko and I want to see her come up and beat her finally.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's going to happen.
Lots of good storylines. I got my tickets for February 27th.
Did you?
Yeah. Johan had 2 table seats for me. So I didn't have, all the tables are sold out, but there was 2 guys that I guess didn't come through and pay. So I'm going to be at a table. Then we got to get our tickets for March 13th. And then we got to get tickets for March 20th if you want to go up to Logan, because I want to watch my coach fight.
Wait, what?
We have Steel Fist on the 13th, right?
Yeah. Oh, is there the other little promotion that we don't talk about too much? Are they on the 20th?
Yeah. So my coach is fighting on that card, and I want to go watch her because this is her first MMA fight. So I'm going to go up there and support. And I'm so stoked that local fights are back on.
They better be. Hey, health department, take a hike. Take a hike. We got COVID tests going down. Take a hike. Let the fights happen.
I don't think they get canceled this time. I don't. With the way things have been going, cases are going down.
Jazz opening up their arena to more seats, and
dude, how about the Jazz? Best team in the league right now?
Yeah, straight up. They're over this 17 wins and 18 games streak. They are the number one team offensively and the number one team defensively in the entire league.
Lakers better not sleep.
Oh, and Anthony Davis is out for 2 to 3 weeks with a strained calf. Got an MRI. They'll reevaluate in 2 to 3 weeks. So he's out. So they're gonna the Jazz could put some real distance between that 1 and 2 seed.
That is really scary because if he tears his Achilles,
I know he's on my fantasy team and he's been a bum all year. Killing me, Anthony Davis.
Not good.
My first round pick. No, but in all seriousness, and I have to leave for training in 13 minutes. Yeah. In all seriousness, the Jazz, and I know you guys are here for MMA and not basketball, but the Jazz are as legit as it gets. The Nuggets went to the Western Conference Finals last year. They went to a 7-game series with the Nuggets without Bogdanovich, arguably their second best offensive player. Mike Conley is shooting 41% from 3 and 45% from the field. He looks like the old all-star Mike Conley. You can make a strong argument the Jazz have 3 all-stars this year with Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert. Bogdanovich is playing great. Joe Ingles has settled into his role. Royce O'Neal is great. They only have one Achilles heel, and that is quick scoring guards give them issues. But everything else, and the nice thing for the Jazz is the Clippers and the Lakers don't have quick scoring guards. There's a good chance that the Jazz's first round will be a tougher series than their second round because one of those like lower lead seed teams, like they don't want to face Portland in the first round.
Yeah, you don't want to face. Yeah, that'd be
Dame, your boy. Dame. Dude, I love Dame. I love Dame, but yeah, you don't want to face him in that round. And then you have Golden State. You don't want to face Golden State or Denver in that. But I mean, yeah, if you're a Jazz fan, yeah, it's time to get excited because they're legit contenders for the first time since Stockton and Malone. Which is super fun because I was Hunter's age, 9-10 years old during then, and now Hunter's 9 years old.
It's crazy. I was in the Marine Corps. I was in North Carolina. I had my Jazz flags flying in my car, representing, man.
I had Jazz shaved into the back of my head in 4th, 5th grade.
You thug.
Brian Russell. All right, I gotta go.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have 2 more episodes this week. Tandy, Deanna Bennett are coming on. Haven't set a time and date yet, but it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday, and then we'll do our breakdown for
the Curtis Blades, Derek Black Beast Lewis fight.
Appreciate everybody listening in.
See
you guys later this week. Thanks for all the support. 1 year, we're still rolling.